the real reason being accountable works. What do we mean by accountability? What do we mean about being accountable? It means you're answerable to someone else. It means you feel like you owe it to someone else to do this thing, whatever it is you're doing. Accountability is basically having to live by the consequences of your actions, okay? Actually having repercussions and knowing what the repercussions are if you don't follow through on the thing that you said you would, okay? And being accountable is so powerful for all aspects of your life, not just your health and fitness. Accountability is the difference between you hitting a deadline and not. Accountability is the difference between you, paying for that installment on the holiday. The accountability is the difference between you getting on that plane or not. It's the accountability in all aspects of your life that makes the difference between you following through and doing what you said you would or not. And why is accountability so powerful? I think the main reason being accountable works because when you have someone else to be accountable to, the magic happens in that they are not going to accept your BS excuses. Whereas when you're by yourself, you're more than happy to accept and justify and rationalize those excuses that you tell yourself. When you're accountable to someone else, that other person is pretty much not going to accept your lame excuses, because when you say those things to your accountability partner or your boss or whoever it is, you know deep down that it's not true. You know deep down that the excuse that you're giving is BS. You know that there's no real truth behind the excuse that you're coming up with, and the same excuse that has held you back for years and years potentially, whether that's your health, fitness, personal life, business, whatever it is, that other person is probably not going to accept it as a valid excuse, as something that is rational. Whereas when we're by ourselves, when we don't have that accountability, that extra obstacle, it is so easy to talk yourself out of, I'll do it tomorrow. It's so easy to say, I think I've done enough. Or it's so easy to say, I just can't be bothered. All these things, all these excuses that we make for ourselves, and then we rationalize it afterwards, after the action, rather than being accountable to the fact that if you're accountable, you will just get off your bum and do it, because you're feeling like you're going to let that person down, because you feel like you owe it to that other person, because you don't want to live by the consequences of your actions that you set out with your accountability person, coach, mentor, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I think accountability is so powerful when it comes to helping you to move forward, helping you to progress, okay? It's the difference between you seeing something through and you just leaving it until Monday. You seeing something through, or you just playing the same record of, I'll do it when I'm feeling better, when I'm a little bit fitter. I'll do it when I've got more time, when I've got more money. I'll do it when, etc., etc. Whereas when you're accountable, you know deep down that the excuses you make to yourself, that you justify to yourself, are not going to be accepted by that other person, all right? Because the other person is going to be the difference between you having some kind of light up your bum or kick up the bum, as opposed to you continuing and doing the same thing again and again and expecting to get different results. Like, I find it so frustrating sometimes, but I understand when you're shown, someone external to you shows you where you could improve, holds a mirror up to you and shows you where you're potentially going wrong, or where you're potentially not seeing the room for improvement, but then not doing anything about it because you've fallen into this trap, this cycle of, well, that's just the way things are. I've not been accountable to anyone, and that's how I want to keep it. I quite like being unaccountable. It's much easier, right? Whereas it's a lot harder to be accountable to someone, and that's the difference, I think, between you having access to all of the information that you could possibly need to change things to make yourself feel fitter, healthy, and happier, and you actually doing something with that information. It's not an information problem that we're living in right now. It's an implementation problem, and you drive implementation. You help to drive consistency and momentum by being accountable, by implementing accountability into your life. That's why I have coaches myself for other aspects of my life, and why you often find that people who progress better than you or I are ones that have coaches, mentors, teachers in the areas of their life that they want to be held accountable to developing. So that is my 2 pence on why I think being accountable works to help you drive forwards and become healthier, fitter, and happier in all aspects of your life.